welcome to another episode of Boss Up and Glow Up with Lexi Sample. First, ignore the mess in the back. I don't know if you can see it on camera, but I'm going on a trip soon and I have clothes just thrown on that couch because I need to put outfits together. So ignore that. But welcome to another episode of Boss Up and Glow Up with Lexi Sample. I am your host, and in this podcast, we discuss the importance of mental health and protecting your peace, protecting your energy. And today we're going to talk about people having access to you. And people having access to you is a privilege. And not everyone deserves to have access to you. So we're going to unpack today on why protecting your energy, protecting your peace is so important, and how we can set healthy boundaries and steps you can take this week to reclaim your peace. Let's dive into it. So let's start by addressing something many of us struggle with, but we rarely talk about, and that's people either consciously or unconsciously maintain the belief that people can freely have access to our emotional energy and our personal space. But your emotional energy is your most exclusive property. You must protect your energy. It is so important to protect your energy and your emotional space while managing and nurturing it. And the world frequently behaves as if energy and emotional space can easily be claimed. Now, what does this look like in real life? So let's start with the workplace, for example. Your workplace, your job contains one coworker who seems to rely on you for support and is always complaining to you about their personal life, whether it's their friendships, their family, their relationships, during every lunch break or your coffee break, or if they're just outside for a second to get some fresh air. They use that time to come to you for their personal problems, whether it involves their partner or their manager or their overall mental state. And you want to be kind to that person, but you start to find yourself emotionally exhausted because you never agreed to be their therapist and they're just trauma dumping on you. And you need to protect your energy because you're not there to be a therapist. You are there to get your job done. And it kind of is turning into every time you're on your break, you're using your mental and emotional energy to give this person the same advice over and over and over. And it can get exhausting, but yes, you want to be nice, you want to be kind, but it's also not your job or not your responsibility. Now, some friendships require people to always be available whenever needed. Your friend could be really upset when you don't respond to their texts, you don't respond to their calls right away. They make you feel guilty for wanting some alone time or time to just spend quiet in your room. Like sometimes we just need that quiet time to recharge our mental state. We all need that. And eventually, this dynamic will become an emotional exchange that measures your worth by how available you are to that person instead of that mutual respect and care. That is a one sided friendship. And that can be so exhausting where your friend expects you to be there no matter what. They're constantly texting you about their issues and they never really want to do anything for you. It's always about them. And that can be really exhausting because this is your friend we're talking about. You don't want your friend to be upset. You love your friend, but it's not a two-sided street. It's always you need to be there for them, but are they there for you? No. That person does not deserve access to you. And that is what we're talking about now because not everyone deserves that access to you. That is a selfish friend. So that friend should not get your undivided attention all the time. Now, it would be different if that friend was there for you too whenever you were upset and you needed someone to talk to and they were there, they would drop everything to talk to you. That would be different because that would be a two-way street. But they're not. And that's why they don't deserve access to you. Now, if it was going both ways, then sure, access is earned. But again, access is a privilege. So we need to learn on who deserves our access and who does not deserve our access. Of course, we can't forget our family. This is one of the most difficult boundaries to maintain and to manage because our families sometimes they have these traditional beliefs that we have to be a certain way. For example, it is 2025 now. things are so much different than how our parents grew up and how it was like the man had to be the man of the household and like the woman has to stay home, cook and clean. Like things are different now. And it's not all like that. Like, of course, we want a provider man. Sure, yeah, awesome. But I truly believe that the woman should do something too. Like, it shouldn't just be the woman just stays at home and has to cook, has to clean. I think both people should work. I think both people should clean. I think both people should help with the kids. Like, it shouldn't be one person focuses on the kids and one person focuses on their work, because then are you really bonding with your children? Because then that one person is missing out on their children. So that's just what I believe in. But every family is different. And some families are like, you have to go to college, you have to have this type of career, you have to do this, you have to do that. And again, things are different. There are so many work from home jobs, there are so many things with social media you can do. And a lot of our parents don't get that. For example, part of my job is social media. And a lot of my family doesn't get it. They're like, oh, what do you do? Just take pictures of yourself? Like, is that it? And they don't realize the hard work that goes into it and how it takes like the sitting down, filming, trying to find good content ideas, trying to think, editing. You don't always have your creative juices flowing. So it takes time, energy, work. You have to, even if you're not feeling good, you have to put on a show that you are okay, because if you're not feeling okay and you're still filming a video, people can tell. And I feel like a lot of the older generation doesn't understand that type of job. Like my family wanted me to be a lawyer. I did want to be a lawyer for a little bit, but I realized that's not for me. So they were very traditional in that way, where they wanted me to go to college, have a traditional career, which I did go to school. I did. And I do have future plans to become a future counselor. But I also want to keep doing my social media and eventually do like online therapy, which that is something new and that is something people of the older generation aren't going to understand. So if they are shitting on your career, shitting on your passions, I'm sorry, just because they're blood doesn't mean they deserve access to you. I've cut off some family members because they didn't believe in me. They didn't like the path I was going down and they were just super judgy. I had to throw them away. I couldn't. They didn't deserve access to me. And again, my dad, I've talked about my dad before. He was insane. He was abusive. He was crazy. He was just a horrible person. And just because he's my biological father, he doesn't deserve access to me. He's blocked on everything. Like, he cannot reach me. He's not allowed to have access to me. Not at all. Like, just because I have your DNA doesn't mean you deserve the right to have access to me. So, again, just because somebody is family doesn't mean they deserve to be in your life. You need to be careful because some people can be toxic and you need to cut those people out. It'll protect your peace so much. Your energy is the most exclusive and intimate part of you. You need to protect it and only give your energy to those who deserve it. And this consistent pattern across all these situations is because others believe that they have the right to your emotional energy just because of their closeness to you, and they think that implies unlimited access. But it doesn't. Your emotions and your thoughts function as infinite resources, which require personal boundaries, similar to emotional entitlement. And they function as infinite resources, which require personal boundaries similar to your home and your space and your financial accesses. You don't want to give everyone your financial assets. You don't want everyone to be inside your home. So we can't let everyone inside our emotional energy. It's the same thing. If you wouldn't let this person inside of your home, they can't have access to you. No, no, no. We're going to analyze the root causes of emotional entitlement in this section while teaching you how to regain your energy without feeling guilty. Establishing emotional boundaries doesn't mean you're cold or you're a bitch or you're selfish, but it ensures that you maintain long term emotional balance. The ability to continuously give to others, it'll end in your own depletes. You are going to drain yourself so much because you're just constantly giving your energy, giving your energy, giving your energy. People are taking it away from you. They're sucking it out of you because you're giving your energy to the wrong people. Now, this topic is so important because it holds significant importance. Protecting your emotional space deserves your attention, and it might even require it. I feel like we don't think about this enough, and emotional overexposure is not harmless. It's not harmless at all. The consequence of failing to protect your emotional space and your emotional energy, it accumulates over time. It just builds and builds and builds. And the lack of boundaries that we're setting while absorbing others' emotions and problems, it'll lead to a gradual decline in your mental health. That's going to drain the shit out of you. You're going to start to feel mentally exhausted. You're going to be drained. You're going to get frustrated, even. And you're going to experience problems with concentration. And you're going to start procrastinating. And your brain is just going to feel depleted. It's going to feel like you're done. You're going to need more rest because you're low key draining yourself without even realizing it. Because giving your energy to the wrong people is exhausting. We've all been there. Have you ever had a person in your life? Doesn't matter if it's family, friend, boss, somebody that every time you talk to them, it's just like, oh my God, I need a fucking nap after this. Like, those are the people that do not deserve access to you. Cut it off. The persistent presence of another person's emotional weight in your mind makes it difficult to focus on your own thoughts and your own needs. And this particular burnout situation causes issues with your ability to manage your emotions, and you're going to experience increased irritability, anxiety, numbness, because your emotional capacity has been drained, and not because of you, because of somebody else. And constantly being emotionally burdened by others is going to leave you with no space to attend to your own needs. You are not a public park. You are a private estate. This requires gate and security with access limited to those who receive invitations. The process involves understanding how much your feelings and emotional state matter to you. I live in a gated community. Not everyone can come into my community. The only people who can come into this community are people who live here or have been invited. And if you have not been invited to this community, you are not allowed in. And that's how your energy and emotional state needs to be to you. Just as you control access to your home, you should also regulate who enters your personal space. And now let's put it in another way. Think of it as a battery. Think of your emotions like it's a battery. When things keep feeding into it, your battery is going to get lower and lower and lower, and it's just eventually going to deplete. That is just like how your emotions are. Emotional depletion remains hidden until you reach depletion. It's at this point you're going to operate with very minimal energy and reserves while ignoring your self care needs. And it's missing its vital restorative activities like reflection and hobbies, which bring you joy. And this is how resentment forms. When you're putting so many people before yourself and they're just draining the shit out of you, you're going to start to resent them. People who once found joy in helping others begin to experience bitterness and overwhelming feelings. People start feeling bitter and overwhelmed when helping others constantly because they never allowed themselves to protect their energy from the start. Everyone gets access until you run out of resources for yourself, and consequently, you find yourself unable to support others effectively because you can't even support yourself. Sustainable love requires boundaries because they enable compassion and support. I want you to reflect. Can you identify the current places where your emotional energy is being depleted? Who has access to you who maybe shouldn't? What would your life experience be like if you took back that space? Now, after talking about boundary setting and pushback management, we're now going to focus on an actionable tool you can implement immediately. This will demonstrate how you apply acquired insights through practical integration. It's time to transition from understanding the importance of boundaries to actively practicing them. We're going to kick things off with a brief self reflection exercise. Now, get ready to record your thoughts in a journal, use your phone's notes function, or just reflect mentally. But just ask yourself, which areas of my life are causing me to feel exhausted? I need to identify the people or situations I dread answering to. Which connections create a sense of obligation that makes declining difficult for me? Where am I overcommitted but undersupported? Now, flip it. Envision how the landscape would shift if you managed to recover just a little bit of 10% even of that energy. Which boundaries should I experiment with this week to alter one dynamic? Now, this self assessment identifies weak or absent boundaries and it'll establish a precise foundation for personal improvement. Routine building is very important. When boundaries are incorporated into your daily lifestyle, they become simpler to uphold. We're going to discuss some daily routines that require the most minimal effort but will greatly help you maintain your emotional energy. Now, starting with one. Select one evening or one afternoon for offline time without texting, without browsing social media, and without checking on others' emotional updates. Use this time to achieve solitude and creativity while resting according to your needs because we need to rest. The phone goes away as soon as the sun sets. Right down sundown on a Saturday. Phone goes away. Your time becomes personal, a personal retreat where you can engage in reading, listening to music, and no answering calls, just some time for yourself to just reflect and think. Plan your week, plan your day, just hang out, do some skincare. You just need that personal time to reflect without going online. Now, you can also organize specific nights each week to avoid answering calls. Maybe Tuesdays, you don't want to answer calls. That's fine, unless your job requires it. But whatever works with your schedule, just have one night where you do not answer calls. Maybe even set business hours for yourself, like saying no calls after 7, 8 p.m. None. That's my recharge time. You have to set that boundary. When I was doing real estate, I mean, I still kind of do, but like not as much. I would have people calling me all hours of the night, and then I would get calls at like 11 p.m. Hell no. Eventually, I set a boundary and I was like, I will not be accepting any work related calls after 7 p.m. That is my dinner time. That's family time. That is my time to recharge. I don't want to be one of those people who are working millions and millions of hours having no family time. My coach in real estate, not with him anymore, but he was literally on call 24 fucking 7. Yes, he made money, but he wasn't having enough time for his family, his friends. It was just work, 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 work. And I don't want to be like that. I need to set boundaries. I deserve to have personal time because then I'm going to end up being a bitch. And I don't want to be a bitch. Personal time is very important. So set that boundary. It's okay to block time for nothing. I literally will plan one like morning to afternoon or afternoon to evening, like just a big block of time for nothing. For example, Sunday morning, I want to sleep in until whenever and I want to wake up slow. I want to just spend the morning for me. I will sleep in as long as I can, which is usually like 8 o'clock. I can't really sleep in any longer than that. But after I get up, I'll eat some breakfast, I'll do some skincare. I will just spend the morning relaxing and then I'm like, okay, I kind of need to prepare for the week now. And then I'll do my preparations. But it's okay to block a chunk of time to do absolutely nothing. You deserve that. You don't need to let people in every second of your life. You're allowed to have personal time, no productivity, no social plans, just room to breathe. Now, this reminds your nervous system what calm feels like. You need to feel that calm, and it protects you from being squeezed in last. Building your inner guard is emotional strength training boundaries. They're not just external. Developing your inner defense mechanism allows you to maintain your authentic self. And you need to have that because everything is just going to be chaos. And even in chaos, you need to know how to have your authentic self. Now, here's how to kind of work around it is begin each morning by creating a centered mindset through either daily meditation, sitting in still quietness, breathe, program your body and your mind to manage your energy through conscious awareness. Committing to the 5 minutes of intentional daily practice reminds you to just think and just calm down. You don't need to spend a lot of time doing this. Just take like 5 minutes every morning to just have some peace and quiet. Maybe the first thing you do when you wake up in the morning, just lay there, lay there with your eyes open and just think. It's okay. You don't have to get up right away. Yeah, it's easier to get up right away, but it's good to have that silent time. You need that silent time. One of the most common questions I get because I talk so much about putting yourself first is how do I say no to my friends or my partner without feeling guilty? And this is such a powerful question because it touches on the core fear behind so many boundary struggles. And so many people think, oh, if I say no to someone I love, they're not gonna feel loved. They're gonna think I don't care about them. But you can say no and still be loving, loyal, and connected. In fact, setting healthy boundaries is one of the most loving things you can do in a relationship and in a friendship. When we feel guilty for saying no, it's usually because we've been conditioned by culture, our family, or some past experiences to believe that love equals constant availability. But love is not a performance. Love is not an overextension. Love is not sacrificing your well being just to avoid disappointing someone. We need to reframe that guilt. Saying no now doesn't mean I don't care. It just means I need to show up. I want to show up fully and not halfway. When you're saying no to someone, it's showing you want to be there completely. If you say yes and you don't really want to do that thing, you're going to half ass it. You're not going to be there in your full self. So, kind of reframe it like that. When you constantly say yes out of guilt, you slowly chip away at trust. And not just your partner's trust, not just your friend's trust, but trust in yourself. You're going to start to resent, withdraw, or lose your sense of agency. And that's not connection. That's disconnection. You're disconnecting yourself. Here's where skills meets the heart. When you need to say no to your friend or your partner, whether it's plans, intimacy, a favor, a conversation that you're just not ready for, use a two-step approach, okay? Step one, mirror back empathy. Let them know you see them and you see their need. This will build trust and it'll soften the no a little bit. I know this is really important to you, but I hear that you were hoping for us to do this tonight, but I understand that this matters to you, but start saying things like that instead of just no. Reframe it a little kinder so they still see you care, but you're still setting your boundary. Now hold the no with respect. Stay rooted. You're not just declining, you're caring for yourself. And I also need you to listen to my body right now. I'm really drained and I'm not in the headspace to engage fully. Can we revisit tomorrow? And I want to be present for you, but I need to reset before I can do that. These are some things you can say. Sometimes the best way to reduce guilt in the moment is to have boundary setting conversations ahead of time when emotions aren't too high. You might say something like, I realize I tend to overextend myself to avoid guilt, especially with people I love. I'm working on protecting my energy better. If I ever say no to something, know that it's not a rejection, it's a regulation. It is protecting my energy. These pre boundary talks normalize your growth, and it'll help your partner or your friend understand the deeper why behind your decision. If you say this ahead of time before you're saying no to something, they're gonna know, oh, wow, maybe they're just really drained and they need a break and they just need time for themselves. They will know and they will be understanding. If they truly love you, they truly care about you, they're your partner, your friend, your best friend, your family, they will understand that you are drained and it is okay. I want to thank you so much for listening to today's episode of Boss Up and Glow Up. I hope this helped you a little bit in showing that not everyone deserves access to you. You need to set those boundaries. You're not rude for saying no. You're just protecting yourself. You're protecting your peace. You're protecting your energy. And that is so important. Treat your energy like it's your home. Thank you so much for listening. I love you so much. Stay blessed. Bye.